where the basin is big enough to hold 21 boats at the same time. The narrow boats were used to transport the limestone out to customers along the canal network. And Galton Bridge were built in 1829 by the great engineer Thomas Telford in 17. So he was born 1757, died 1834. Foster Rastrick and Company in 1828. It was the first locomotive to be operated in the United States and one of the first locomotives to operate outside of Britain. Which is on the far back of the church, and you'll find the far back of the church is always beautiful stained glass windows. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Midlands Outdoors channel today, back with series 2 of Exploring the Black Country. The first episode what's going to kick this series off. We are at the BCN Mainline, just down by the Netherton Tunnel branch in Tividale, from where we left off on the last series 1, Netherton Tunnel. We are going to be heading down towards the BCN section down there, looking at some stuff, got some little bits of history, also ties a bit into the Sheepwash Nature Reserve Park which you see in the video, Dunkirk. I'll show you the Dunkirk section down the bottom. Nice little interesting route, and I've come on the bike today because it is a really big journey. I couldn't see me walking this by foot, not at all, because it is quite far. So we'll catch up on filming in some parts today with that. But yeah, what an interesting day going through the tunnel though. I mean, last video when you're seeing this, it is really quite interesting. Lots of history behind this place. And you know, this is what links up the Dudley number 2 canal and number 1 section to the Netherton Tunnel, the BCN branch. But let's go and have a ride down to the bottom, and let's go and join up on the BCN Mainline. I'm just currently riding down the Netherton Tunnel branch at the moment. I'm still like nearly halfway till I get to the Tar Works bridge at the end. It is getting a bit breezy today. I didn't expect it to be like this, but I think it's got to get okay towards the afternoon. But it's fit, the sun's coming out as well, which is a bonus. But we're not too far now, just literally down the bottom. So as you can just see, I've come to the Toll End Works where they got the 2 bridges just right on the corner. This is now the Birmingham Mainline Canal, which goes all the way to the top up to there, all the way to West Bromwich, then to Birmingham city centre. I believe it goes all the way to Wolverhampton on that end, and you go through like Cosley, bits of Tipton up that way. It is a nice little stretch, and it is one that we're going to be covering later in some of the series what we're filming. But these bridges here are quite interesting because they do tie into a bit of history, and I do know at the back of my head these were actually made by the Horsey Company in the 18th century. As you can tell, even if I zoom in, these bridges are so old because you can just see them starting to rust on the corners. Look, I've been painted over many times, but there is quite a lot of these bridges down the BCN Mainline. Not just that, even the Dudley number 2 canal, you've got bridges from the Horsey Company. You've even got Galton Bridge down the bottom, which is also constructed by the Horsey Company in the 18th century. So you can just see there is quite a lot of history of the bridges down the BCN Mainline, not just the canal itself. But we'll have a quick ride down here. They've got the Dunkirk section down the bottom, which I'm going to quickly go and show you, and I'll tell you a bit of history about the Birmingham Canal itself. So in the last Netherton Tunnel video I forgot to mention the reason why they built that tunnel. Now Netherton Tunnel was actually constructed to allow the boats to pass through to the BCN Mainline pretty much easy, and back in the past the rising industry, the industrial revolution, you can imagine all the factories, you know, all down the canal line, especially the BCN. You had coal mines, ironworks, chain making. Where did they have to send them goods? They had to send it across the canal, because back in those days they found it more efficient to send their goods across, even clothes, anything really. That's why these canals are important back in the past, and that's why towpaths along the canal line exist today, because the horses back in the past used to drag the barges all the way across the canal using these towpaths, because you can just see they're not just for walking or biking, they were for that back in the past. And that's what allows us to walk across a canal today, or even bike ride across it. And if that never existed, a canal would just be basically water, basically. But it is interesting to, you know, look back over the history and see what went on back in the past. A few photos for you now of actually horses dragging along the canals, so you can just see what's going on and the way they used to do that. And with tunnels, I will mention about that now, because there is quite a lot of tunnels down to it. You used to leg through the tunnels. Simple reason for legging is because they couldn't take horses down there, and horses could not get down that canal tunnel whatsoever. Apart from Netherton Tunnel, that's pretty much why it was built, to allow the horses to go all the way through to one end to the other. A good example of legging is the Dudley Tunnel, which you can go today. You've got the Dudley tours what go down there to the limestone mines, and I can show you a good example of legging. Photo on for you now of what legging actually is. So it does all tie into the canal sections, which is why I mentioned it to you today. It is quite really interesting. So right, I believe we've come further behind the Sheepwash Nature Reserve. Now we have got the section now called Dunkirk. Now Dunkirk was actually an extra split off section from the canal line here. It's an old photo map on for you now of what you can see of where Dunkirk actually went. Let's go have a closer look, and I will show you the little island what's in the middle of it. So right, this is Dunkirk Island, which you can see. We've got two passageways right here, just here for you, look. And on that old map you see that split off section going from one corner all the way over the back over there. So this is quite an interesting stretch. So I will tell you a bit of history now about the BCN Mainline and what this canal is actually all about. So a bit of history on this Dunkirk branch right here. Another photo one for you now of the Dunkirk branch right there. So because we've got a train passing at the moment. Our train's gone. Now just here it does say the Dunkirk branch falls very strongly into the latter camp. This diminutive stub was barely 100 feet long, stretching back from the new main line in a northwesterly direction, its entrance being directly opposed to the Gower branch. Today there is no evidence of its entrance or its bridge beneath what was the L&WR railway and a little more beyond. We approached this site from the Sheepwash Park to the northwest, branching out from the River Tame aqueducts into a maze of small pathways. These eventually led into a school playing field located, as ever, from Google Earth. So it says there, from 1904 map clearly shows the line of the canal and the land boundaries followed direction perfectly. The problem is a lack of anything significant from the ground. That's actually telling you basically about somebody looking back in the past of that. So it does say there, the old maps suggest that this area is all spoil, presumably excavated from Greet's Green Colliery. However, at the turn of the century, there appears to be no industrial activity in the area, although the Dunkirk Forge was known to have operated in the area, together with a number of sand pits and gravel pits. This short line remained in water till 1953, when it was eventually filled in and its entrance to the BCN Mainline was sealed off. So that's actually the information about Dunkirk, which is by the side of me. It is quite interesting to see a lost bit of the BCN Mainline, which has actually gone today. But let's carry on. We'll tell you a bit more history down the canal line for you, which is quite interesting. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed the cinematics of the area view, just where Dunkirk is on the corner. Bits you can just see a bit of sheet wash when I was over that way, which is quite cool. And bits further down the BCN Mainline. So where we're heading now is a bit further on down the BCN towards West Brom. Let's go and take a look at what's down that section today. Quick zoom in so you can see it. Look at the heron on the other side, he's waiting to catch some fish. Right, it hasn't really took long to get here. This is why I've chosen to come on bike. It's much more quicker for me. I mean, walking it would have took so ages and I've got to go back through the tunnel. And you'll see a board here, Birmingham 8 mile and Bromford stop 1.5. I will go and quickly show you Bromford stop right at the bottom. We've got some junctions and there is more bridges from the past from the Horsley Company down there. Let's go and take a look at those. But for Birmingham being 8 mile, it doesn't really take long on bike. I've done it once and managed to get to the city centre, which is quite cool to go that far. So here we are, another bridge, the Horsley Company, Tipton, 1848. It's got on that sign up to there. Look at that, if I quickly zoom in, you can just see it, look. If I'm passing right now, I'll show you down here actually, I'll come down to the bottom. We've now got the motorway section down there. It's got a train passing once more, so you can just see the bottom down there, look. If I quickly zoom in, we will be heading that way a bit later on. But let's go to the bottom of here and I will quickly show you this Bromford stop. Right, just a bit better for you there, you can just see 1848 on that bridge. And that's actually where most of these bridges were actually built. Lots of history behind it, so if you research the Horsley Company, Tipton, you will find out what they did, the bridges they made. The designs, I mean, they had different designs. This was one of their designs, look, you can just see a different design at the bottom there. Really old bridge. It's quite cool seeing it. And we've got the next section, which is just a shortcut basically from going down there, and it will lead you all the way to Wolverhampton that way. But you've got the this way down the bottom where we're heading, Spon Lane Junction, just down there. So right, one more look at the Bromford stop for you. Right behind, look at you zoom in, and there's Bromford stop. So what we're going to be doing now, journeying further on, just in front, we've only got a short distance. Let's go and get onto that motorway and I'll tell you more information about the BCN Mainline. So there is a bit of history for you here and a bit of information. So you've got the old main line and you've also got the new main line. The BCN Mainline, or Birmingham Canal Navigation's main line, describes the evolving route of the Birmingham Canal between Birmingham and Wolverhampton. The name Mainline was used to distinguish the main Birmingham to Wolverhampton route from many other canals and branches built or acquired by the Birmingham Canal Navigations Company. So I will go over now and tell you a bit of information about the new main line, which is here today. Over the next 30 years, as more canals and branches were built, all connected, it became necessary to review the long, winding, narrow old main line. With a single towpath, boats passing opposite directions had to negotiate their horses and ropes. As traffic grew, the locks at Smethwick summit were still at constriction. In 1824, Thomas Telford was commissioned to examine alternatives. He famously travelled the route of the old line and reported the existing canal as little more than a crooked ditch, with scarcely the appearance of towing path, the horses frequently siding and staggering in the water, the hauling lines sweeping the gravel into the canal, and the entanglement at the meeting of the boats being incessant. Whilst at the locks of each end of the short summit at Smethwick, crowds of the boatmen were always quarrelling and offering premiums for the preference of the passage. The mine owners, injured by the delay, were loud in their just complaints. So you can just see there Thomas Telford giving a bit of information of what the old line was actually like. So here we are, we've made it. Let's get a bit of electric on my bike and sit down and tell you a bit of history. Right, look at that behind, got the motorway just above. Got an old bridge at the side of me, look there, look at that old bridge. It's quite a cool stop this. Right, let's tell you a bit more information about the Birmingham Canal for you. So basically there's more information with the old line stating in 1768 on the 24th of February an Act of Parliament was passed to allow the building of the canal. So it says there with branches at Ocker Hill and Wednesbury. So it says there are coal mines. The Staffordshire and Worcestershire Company was given the right to make the connection to their canal if the Birmingham Company failed to do so within 6 months of opening. On the 2nd of March, Brindley was appointed engineer. The first phase of building was to Wednesbury, whereupon the price of coal sold to domestic households in Birmingham halved overnight. Vested interests of the sponsors caused the creation of 2 terminal wharves in Birmingham, the 1772 Newhall branch and wharf now built upon originally extended north of and parallel to Great Charles Street. The 1773 Paradise Street branch split off at the old turn junction and headed through Broad Street Tunnel. It says turned off left of what is now Gas Street Basin and under street Bridge Street to wharves on a tuning fork shaped pair of long basins. So you've got Paradise Wharf, also called Old Wharf. So the Birmingham Canal Company head office was finally built there, opposite the western end of Paradise Street. That's quite interesting information of the old main line that. With the new main line, it does say Telford proposed major changes to the section between Birmingham and Smethwick, widening and straightening the canal, providing towpaths on each side, and cutting through Smethwick summit to bypass the locks, allowing lock-free passage from Birmingham to Tipton. Telford's proposals were swayed by the threat of a new Birmingham to Liverpool railway. His suggestions were accepted and he was appointed chief engineer on the 28th of June 1824. By 1827 the new main line passed straight through and linked to the loops of the old main line, creating Ozor's Loop, Icknield Port Loop and Soho Loop, Cape Loop and Soho Foundry Loop, allowing continued access to the existing factories and wharves. So it does say here right at the bottom, by 1838 the new main line was complete. It says 22 miles of slow canal reduced to 15 between Birmingham and Tipton. A lock-free dual carriageway. It was also called the Island Line as it was cut straight through the hill at Smethwick known as the Island. Quite interesting that there is loads of information. I will drop the links in of the BCN history where if you want to read further more of this then feel free to. Lots on there for you, but we'll have a look at some extras down the BCN main line now. Let's go and see what else is to offer to see up here. So right, that's quite interesting seeing that, and you can just see we've got the Chances Glassworks right the way at the top up here, look. Just imagine that Chances is really old. We've got a towpath closure between Stewart Aqueduct and Spon Lane. So it says there, due to unsafe building wall, we have closed a towpath on the new mainline canal between Stewart Aqueduct and Spon Lane. We are in conversion of building with the building owners and Sandwell Council to ensure a thorough investigation and plan for repairs is carried out quickly as possible. So this is why this is closed, because you can just see that it's really unsafe up there got the abandoned buildings of the Chance's Glassworks. It's really interesting. So yeah, it's dragging my bike all up the long path now. That's the Birmingham Canal Mainline. Pretty much really interesting. I've learnt you a bit of information about what it is, some interesting parts down to there. But what a little video. It's been interesting to come and check it out. I did a main video on this section going all the way to Galton Bridge. Feel free to check it out. You will see it on there, Old Hill to Galton Bridge. And if you are interested in stuff like this, then definitely go and see what's to offer on that video. Talk about the Chance's Glassworks. I talk further down about what the bridge is itself right at the bottom. Don't want to cover that today because I'm heading back a different route. I'm going to go from the Steward Railway Bridge all the way to Albury now. Come back up on myself. It's been really cool to see this. But yeah, it is an interesting part. Might get a bit of drone footage for you now actually of the Chance's Glassworks just to finalise the video, and I will show you what's actually over that way and what's above. But looking right now there, you've got the back end of the wall up. But yeah, as one final more look, you can just see the BCN Mainline heading all the way to the Smethwick section now and all the way to Birmingham. If I have a quick zoom in, this is actually the closed section from above. You can just see a bit more better from there, look. Got a barge going all the way through it. Cool little like cinematics of that. You can see there is an old bridge for the Chance's Glassworks right at the bottom. Let's go and see what's above here. Let's go and take the drone up and see what's from the aerial footage further down of that canal. Yeah, absolutely fantastic seeing the Chance's Glassworks from above, down the old bit of the canal down there where it's closed at the moment. Seeing bits of the motorway above has been fantastic. If you've enjoyed this video, then drop a like, it much appreciated. And if you're new, subscribe if you can. Got some more interesting footage for you, but if you're interested in seeing further behind there and further on the canal, go and check out Old Hill to Galton Bridge. Another video, drop it all in the description, history in the description for you. If you want to read more, go and check it out. But see you soon, see you in episode 2, and take care everybody. The Midlands Outdoors out.